Hmm. Oh, righty. Here we go. So I saw a little bit more about Jason Kai, and I heard an interview from him from like 11 years ago. Apparently, he came out with a book called "The Dangerous Class and the Revolutionary Theory: Thoughts on the Making of the Lumpen slash Proletariat." Now, this book came out on April 15th, 2017, so not too long ago, really, obviously. Now, I didn't buy the book. It's just I read a clip of it, and I'm not going to read it to you. But basically, he says that basically more people are becoming lumpen proletariat, and there aren't actual proletarians out there. People that are working in factories and stuff. That's true. Yeah, a lot of people are doing illegal stuff, and they're selling drugs on the side, or they got their OnlyFans while they're working at Burger King or something like that. Yeah, that's true. So I think that will continue to happen. And of course, you could argue even that being a YouTuber is a form of being a lumpen proletariat to a point. Depending on your definition of it. But, I definitely think that is kind of the future of things. Yeah. But I feel like what's going to happen is I think that once again, people are, like I say, I think with politics is that it's always about trying to get people onto your side and trying to keep them on your side until they're no longer useful to you. And that doesn't matter whether it's left wing or right wing or whichever. Guess what? What we saw in Russia, once the Bolshevik Revolution ended, hey, Mensheviks, get the fuck out. We're tired of your bullshit. We're tired of your sucked in ways. Yulia Martov, fuck you. We're not going to help you out, And I don't say that as some coping sort of thing. I just say it is what it is, right? When I was talking with Commander Brutus, I was going to say Comrade Brutus. That works too. He was talking about Enver Hoxha, right? And all the folks that he executed and how lonely he was, and how close to death he was before his death in 1985, I believe. I think it was 1985. Anyway, I'm not going to fact check that. Anyway, but this is what happens. I've said that before in the live stream, which is like, people who you think are your comrades, guess what? The real war hasn't begun. Like I said, the revolution itself is just to overthrow the system that's here. That's not the real war. The real war is when the internal stuff happens. Like I say, the victory, on January 30th, 1933, when Hitler came to office, that wasn't the victory. The real victory, or the real war, started a few years later with the Night of the Long Knives, right? Ernst Röhm getting killed, a lot of the SA leadership, Gregor Strasser, etc., right? A lot of folks were killed. Kurt Schleicher. Let me make sure I got that right. I think that was him. Yeah, Kurt Schleicher. If I'm thinking right, yeah, 1934. Yeah, he's called Night of the Long Knife, 1934. Yeah, June 30th, 1934. So a lot of this stuff happened, yeah. And he was just trying to play this game. But yeah, it didn't work out well for him. The thing is that let's bring it back to the future of the lumpen proletariat. A lot of Maoists and third worldists talk about the lumpen proletariat. And they think somehow that the lumpen proletariat are going to be this political class of people. Of course, it was interesting when I was listening to, even from 11 years ago, about Jason Kai and him saying that, yeah, where I'm at, there's a lot of Mexicans. They're not Chicano, they're Mexicans. And they are proud nationalists. They see themselves as being, Mexican, and yeah, it's a poor country and they need to do what they have to do here in the US, but they want to keep things the way they are. If Americans are lazy, that's good because they can still have a job. Of course, once the US breaks apart, it's a whole other issue, right? People are going to have to work in the US. People that were getting welfare or whatever the case may be, white people included, are going to have to, they're going to have to get out and work. But anyway, past that, though, is the lumpen proletariat to me, the lumpen/proletariat to me, they don't really serve anybody. And so let me see what I'm going to look at the quote and the contents of this book, or the table of contents. Yeah. So women interpenetrate lumpen/proletariat theory Mao tossed to us, rechecking original code, the class in hiding, the iron force-feeding funnel of the class cash nexus. Jane Austen goes to school with the lumpen/proletariat in mid-journey. Some notes towards lessons. So the thing is, he's trying to talk about different aspects of it. To me, the future of the lumpen proletariat includes, petty theft. It includes folks that are living on the margins. Maybe they're doing scams, this and that. They're robbing folks, running guns, this and that. Working in these informal groups. That's the whole idea of it. Hell, you can consider the mafia lumpen proletariat to a point. Probably a different sort of thing, but, the thing is that I don't think the, lumpen proletariat gives a shit about socialism. They see, it's the same thing. You can think about it with, the Chinese triads, the Hoxie. I'm saying that in Cantonese. I'm not sure how you would say it. Hey su Wu. I'm not sure how you'd say it in Mandarin, but yeah. But the Hoxie, the triads. When the Hong Kong protests were going on, the triads were out there saying, "Knock that shit off." They were fighting back. That's the whole thing. Triads were very much against the Hong Kong protests. And of course, allegedly, while triads do get arrested, this and that is at the higher up levels of the triads, they work with the government. There's a lot of allegedness behind it. But the thing is, though, is that it goes to show, will socialism be that much more different than capitalism? It's still going to be, like I say, you're not going to completely get rid of the system. That's the whole idea of it. That's why when people always say, "Oh, well, it's going to take thousands of years before our perfect system comes," it's like, shit. Most people can't even think beyond tomorrow. Why do you think people are going to think 1,000 years ahead? Yeah, to me, lumpen proletariat, once the system breaks down in the U.S., people are going to be asking, for protection from Russians, Chinese, both the government, all the government, military, and the mafia from each one. Cartels in the South, particularly the Mexican cartels, they're all going to make their deals with various lumpen proletariat groups to continue to make money. Yeah, some lower level lumpen proletariats, pickpocketers and maybe, squatters, this and that, and homeless folks, they may join your revolution, but the higher up ones that actually have a stake in the system, maybe those that are drug dealers and stuff like that, they're going to be like, "I'm not going to join your group." So that's my opinion anyway. That's my take on it. And the thing is that as I mentioned before, though, at the beginning, would socialists or Marxist Leninists or anarchists, do you think they would give a shit about these lumpen proletariat folks? No, they wouldn't. In my opinion, they wouldn't. They would simply use them and toss them away. They would simply use them and be like, well, hey, thanks for getting in the revolution for us and, helping us to overthrow the system. But you know what? Fuck you. You're not good, There's, like I said, this happens with any revolution, with any war, even. We've seen it over and over with wars, is that there are plenty of people who, that's all they know is war and how to fight, right? Whatever the form of combat was, huge amounts of, ex-Waffen SS guys. What happened to them? Well, some escaped and they went off. People like, Otto Skorzeny continued to do his little bit of work. A lot of Waffen SS veterans went to the French Foreign Legion and they hid out there, right? Or they, you'll have plenty of folks who are veterans in the U.S. military. What do? They go to, these private military, the PMCs that we talk about, right? The private military corporations and stuff like that. Like I said, PMC means so much. It can mean professional managerial class, it can mean all these sorts of things. The thing is that the system will collapse on itself. That's the whole idea of the United States. And that the idea of a hierarchy and the idea of the legitimacy of this system is slowly collapsing in on itself. People have been talking about this though for a long time. Like I say, I'll go back and forth, and I'm still going to say 50 years this country will collapse. It could be sooner. It could never happen. I give myself some leeway. That way I can cover my ass. That's the whole idea of it. But to me, this idea that, the lumpen proletariat are going to completely get along and that they'll be, the real vanguard of the revolution. I don't know about that. Yeah, some will. But the larger ones that are part of like gangs and stuff like that, they're going to be like, fuck you, and they're going to fight you, So I don't know, man. Like I say, it's a complicated world. It's a complicated thing. But yeah, a lot of folks really don't understand it, this and that, and I don't claim to, but yeah, I don't know. I think people just oversimplify things like more conservative or this and that. I don't know. I think people who call themselves conservative today only do it because they get money for it. You see him on Fox News all the time. Ted Cruz, of course, well, he calls himself a libertarian when it suits him and calls himself a conservative when it suits him. The fact is he doesn't give a shit about either one of those things. But yeah, at this point, like I say, man, it's a difficult thing to understand. And my cat wants to come in. So you know what? Let's go ahead and wrap this up. I hope y'all enjoyed this. See you later and goodbye.